Hi, ladies. Welcome to this week's Tuesday Talk. I am in the middle of about 100 loads of laundry as I recover from my family's camping trip, which was wonderful and great fun. But as you know, as a mom, it's a lot of work too. But I have been thinking a lot about life verses, and I wanted to share my life verse with you, and I'm hoping that maybe this Tuesday you will share your life verse with me. So my life verse comes out of the book of Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 19, and it goes like this. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of the deer. He enables me to walk on the heights. So this verse came into my life in the middle of a time when my physical strength was very, very low. I was really sick, and as a mom, juggling all of those responsibilities, and then having this physical illness come into my life, it was such a struggle. And there were days when I really just questioned, like, did I have the strength just to make it through the day, to do what was required for my family? And I remember sitting and reading my Bible in the morning. I had gotten up before everyone else, which is like my favorite time of the day. And I was sitting there with my cup of coffee and my Bible, and I was just praying, Lord, how am I going to make it through this? How I don't think I can physically do this, all of this, all that my life demands, and how am I going to do this, God? And I came across that verse, and I read that, the sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of the deer. He enables me to walk on the heights. And as I read that verse, of course, I felt the peace of God enter my heart, because His word speaks to us, right? It was one of those verses that just jumped out and grabbed me. And as I read it, after I'd read those words, I looked up out my front window, and there, in the middle of my suburban neighborhood, I saw this beautiful deer looking into my window, like it was looking right at me. And I can tell you, I lived in that neighborhood. I grew up in that neighborhood, and I had never seen a deer in my neighborhood. And I never did again, just that one day. But as I looked up and I looked out my front window and I saw this deer looking back at me, and I had read those words, I knew that God was going to be my strength. And that verse has stayed with me through my whole life. And in that time, the strength of God that verse really symbolized to me physical strength. God was going to help me get through my illness and live up to the responsibilities that He had placed in my life. And He was faithful to do that. And every time I felt weak, I would say that verse right out loud, and my strength would be renewed. And special moments of great weakness, God would bring a deer into my path. Not in my front window looking at me like it did that first day, but in different situations where He would just speak to me. And so now, anytime I see a deer, I always say my verse right out loud. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of the deer. He enables me to walk on the heights. Well, this season of my life, my physical strength has been renewed. I'm no longer struggling in the same way with illness that I once was. I still have a chronic illness, but it has gone into remission. I've learned how to cope with my new normal, and I'm much stronger in a much better physical place. And God has shown me that this verse, my verse, has deeper meaning for me in this season of my life. What I believe God is calling me to do is to walk on the spiritual heights. And so as I recite my life verse, as I remember it throughout my days, I'm reminded that I can walk, and I am called to walk on spiritual heights. And so what that means to me is that those moments of closeness that we sometimes experience with God during different seasons, Maybe you've gone to a Bible conference and you're feeling that fresh renewal of the Holy Spirit, or maybe like me, you just spent a week at camp meeting and you've had people pouring into your life and you've had a chance to pour your life into others. That brings a real what I think sometimes people view as a spiritual high. I believe that we are not meant to go home and then plummet to a spiritual low. I think we are made to walk on spiritual heights, from glory to glory. And so I hang on to that verse. I hang on to that verse knowing that every day I am called to walk in close relationship with the Holy Spirit, and every day I am meant to live and walk on spiritual heights. And I hope that you will find that encouraging for you too, because what's true for me, spiritually true for me, is spiritually true for you too. God doesn't play favorites. He loves you just as intimately and just as much as he loves me. And he's longing to reveal himself to you. And he wants you to walk on the spiritual heights. So I hope that you'll find that encouraging this evening. And my question for you today is, what is your life verse? Would you share that with me in the comments? I would love to know what verse God has placed in your heart that has been a thread of intimacy and a push towards your calling throughout your days. So that's all I have for this evening. Our next season of sewing lesson is going to be live tomorrow. That's Wednesday, which is a little unusual, but so it is. It's God's appointed time, and that's when it's going to happen. So I'm trying to live according to the Spirit's timetable instead of pushing myself to meet my own timetable or the demands of the world. So I appreciate your patience as I get that prepared for you in the middle of my post-camping chaos. I love you, ladies, and remember, keep in his word and keep growing, because the world needs the extraordinary gifts God created in you. Good night.